All right, guys, how we doing? Welcome back to another video. This one, basically, we're going to talk about you and what you had to say about my last two Ricoh GR videos. There were two that were put out. One, actually, the GRD, which is the GR Digital, and that was the video with the bamboozled headline. And then the other video was the most recent one that I put out, and that basically talked about night photography with the Ricoh GR. And again, not the Ricoh GR3 or the X, which is certainly falls into the same category, and all of the same processes and everything that I discussed would certainly work with the 2, the 3, the 3X, that sort of thing. So whether you're using all the way down to the GRD or all the way up to the X, basically everything's fundamental. The camera is about the same, except on the older versions, you don't have that crappy plastic wheel. I love saying that every video. But first up, let's get to some of the comments about the bamboozled video. So this one, it's kind of a double here. I put up here, milliwatt, high cool video, forgotten the camera. Mine also run into issues with the dial freezing. Well, there we go. And not responding. That's why I bought the fourth. 2 years ago, I used a spray for contacts and spray in it. Camera should be turned off, of course, and actioned the dial. That means he moved it around a lot. And for about 2 minutes, he waited a day to be sure everything inside was dry, and ta-da, it worked like a charm. So that is something that some of you can try. It's a matter of dust and rust on the contacts inside. I hope this helps. Well, it certainly can help, but again, I shouldn't have to do that for these cameras. That's a mechanical function. That is a mechanical misfunction. Ricoh knows about it. Fix it. All right, the next one is from, well, Trails 203, Blessings in Disguise. The GR digital cameras are really, really great for their age, which I do have to agree. The original GRD being the best, which I also agree. Sure, the GRD4 has more features and megapixels, but the original GRD renders black and white in a way I've never seen replicated before. When shooting black and white, the noise produced from the original GRD looks reminiscent of film grain because there is no onboard noise reduction software as there is in the later GRD versions. The noise does not look good in color though, so keep the ISO low. Now, that is the problem with these GRDs. They put out great black and white images, and not just, I'm not talking about JPEGs out of the camera. Some of you certainly have experimented with that. I don't do that straight out of the camera. I put everything in Lightroom, mainly because I like to catalog everything. If I want to go back 5 years from now, or back to 2010 when my first folder is 2010. That's when I started getting seriously into photography. Again, I did it back in high school. But so I've got everything from 2010 until today, which is 2023. And it's all there. Everything I've ever shot is there if I want to go back and re-edit or have some fun with it. Even JPEGs, which I was experimenting with. But then I decided, well, if I'm going to go back and use these, I might as well just shoot in RAW. Keeps the files smaller, the cards don't fill up as fast, that sort of thing. And I'm gonna go back and edit everything anyway, so that's why I use RAW. But with the GRD, with the new denoise, which is what that's the last video that I had, that's the whole point of the video, showing what you can do with a terribly pixelated 25,000 ISO image, you would not ever use it. It just looks even bad to you. But if you put it through the new denoise feature in the new Lightroom, boom, baby, it's awesome. And I'm really liking some of those night images I got. That opens up a whole new spectrum to shoot night photography. If you know, you don't have to worry about noise. You just shoot at 25,000 ISO if you want. I just put it on auto and let it rip. And then you put it through the denoise. There's no noise. Okay, now we move on to Zoli Uncle. Would you prefer snap focus 1 to 1.5 distance, f8 to 9, 1/500th of a second, auto ISO, maintained by the camera, introspective of camera mode, etc.? Okay, well, the way I look at this is, you're pretty close there. If you're walking down the street on a sidewalk, a downtown sidewalk, you want to use 1.5 snap distance probably. Because you're fairly close to people. That means anything, 1.5, if you're at f8, f9, which you should be at least, I would not go 5.6. It gives you more broader depth of field. Then you get everything from about one meter, which is, whatever, 3 feet. So just inside 3 feet, nobody would be that close to you anyway, or shouldn't be closer than 2 to 3 feet, even after COVID. But you'll get that depth of field. That's what you're looking for, that broad range of space between how close they can be versus how far they can be and still be in relatively sharp focus. That's where you get a combination of your snap focus at say 1.5, you get your f9, and at least 1/400th of a second. I prefer 1/500th of a second. That freezes everything, including bicycles, maybe even motorcycles. And you put it on, if you're using the 3, you put it on ISO auto with a max of about 1600, 3200, something like that. So you have a broad, again, gives you a broad range to work with there. If you're using, say, a Ricoh GR, then you do not have the max. You can't set that. I would just put it on auto and let it go. I did that on a couple videos you can check out. It does a pretty good job. Maybe usually it averages about 300 to 400 or 320 to 400, something like that on the ISO. But every now and then you need to, you'll shoot in a dark area and you need it at 16 to 3200 or whatever, 6400, and it'll do it. Again, with denoise, you can take that away. But with street photography, I would not use denoise. I would let the grain, let the noise stay in there if I'm shooting in black and white, because that's the grit of the street, and that's what this camera is best for. The denoise is good if you're using it for other things, landscapes, or just, as you can see, night photography in my other videos, that sort of thing. That's when you would use denoise, but not for street. Okay, we had some activity on that same video. Juan Tran and Morton Thorpe, thank you very much for your detailed explanation of zone focus and snap focus, which I will have this weekend. To me, and then Morton says, to me, snap focus is like having preset focal lengths and practicing to see how good I am at guesstimating distances, which becomes apparent when assessing subjects and blah, 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 blah. And you make a good point. Okay, snap focus is not much different than zone focusing. Those of us who are very familiar with photography and have used manual focus all of our lives and everything, you can get away with zone focus. There's a couple videos I have, if you want to look for those, with zone focusing. But the way that zone focusing is different than snap focus, Ricoh just makes it easy. They do the work for you. They do all the settings, everything. You can preset everything with parameters, and it'll get that shot for you. And that means you can just walk and snap, and you don't have to constantly play with your camera. Nonetheless, there is a difference between snap focus and zone focusing. It's ever so slight. Snap focus is always going to be probably a little better. Okay, so every time I put a video out, there's always that one guy. And Gordy says, back in the day, processing was necessary to develop the image. There were a lot of techniques involved in processing, like dodging and burning, but it stopped at processing. Now we have post-processing. If we keep on extending the processing in incremental stages, eventually it will no longer be photography, it'll be image processing. You just lost a subscriber. I bet you Gordo keeps watching. So there's a little bit of a back and forth here, and I'll go ahead and we'll look at the back and forth here. So me, being the snarky person I am, thanks for the input, Gordon. I thought that was pretty good. But it's not an airport. No need to announce your departure. Take care, my friend. I wish you'd come back. Honestly, I do. Fair exchange. On this channel, your opinions are fine. You can give that opinion. You say you're no longer going to subscribing. I'm just letting you know, hey, thanks, for the chiming in, but what do you want me to do? Beg you to stay? Well, Gordon didn't like that. I never expected something so cheap. So I came back with life is full of unexpected disappointments. Just ask my ex-wife. Don't let the door hit you in the ass, Gordo. That's all I got to say. Okay, this comes from, what's that? SP Super Sprinter. Coffeehouse 5 is my favorite, the first black and white one. That's from my video, the extremely high ISO night photography with no IBIS and no fear of noise. I use a GR3 and find it fine up to 6400 in black and white. I will try the new Lightroom noise reduction feature, though if it's anything like Topaz, you run the risk of images looking like a little plastic-like. And that is a great point, Mr. Super, whatever that was, SPT Super. You don't get that. Now I've used Topaz. I've got it on my computer. and I paid for it even. It was like 69 bucks, 79 bucks, maybe $99. I don't know. I probably wouldn't buy that again. I rarely ever use it. It's a sharpening piece of software, and it does well for a few. It has made a few of my images that were just a little bit blurry, made them nice. And but if it's super blurry, it does, as he said, it looks fake and it looks plastic and it just doesn't look right. However, this denoise in Lightroom, I've not had any issues with it. I mean, it's taken just crap photos and turned them into really nice photos. He's talking about the coffee house photos. Those looked like crap, honestly, straight out of the camera. And I showed you in the video what they look like. You put them through denoise, they do not look fake. They look really nice. I mean, I look for things like that. I pixel peep. And of course, it's just a hardcore luminance, but it's not like jacking your luminance up, because they will keep the edges a little sharp. You know, you got to play with it a little bit, but it does not look plastic, does not look fake. I know exactly what you mean, but it works great, and it's free if you already have Lightroom. The last one we're going to talk about here, because I want to get to that. Somebody made a point about the cost of Lightroom, and I want to make a clarification on that. And that was from Martin Green, who says, looks like a great feature. I don't use Lightroom as they charge $50 a month for subscription, too rich for me. I remember when you could purchase that program, and that was that. And then he goes on, oh, this is Mask on Marty. Good point, Marty, but I want to assure you that you do not have to pay $50 for Lightroom. It's, I believe, something, maybe $19 a month for Lightroom and Photoshop. That's Lightroom, and they call it the photographer's package. Look up the photographer's package. I don't have a link to it. I don't have any money on that. I guess I could, probably as an affiliate, but whatever, folks. Just go check it out. And there's free trials. Okay, guys, so that's going to wrap this video up. But if you have any comments, suggestions, questions, corrections, and I guess if you want to just, bitch and complain, you can do that as well, all down in the comments section. I'd love to hear it. Please subscribe, please like, and guys, we'll be back with more, so stay tuned.